So let's start with the question. What if that core thing that gives life meaning, that sense of value inside you,
Yeah.
what if it didn't get smashed, but just sort of faded away slowly? What actually happens when that purpose, that feeling just kind of diminishes? Not some big explosion, but like
Mhm.
a quiet creeping whisper.
That's a really, yeah, a profound way to put it. And it's right at the heart of our deep dive today. We're looking at this really unique text from the record file.
Right.
It's called, which translates to When the Soul is Destroyed. And our mission really is to dig into what this source is saying, especially its, well, surprising ideas about how the soul gets dismantled.
Right. And this source, it defines the soul in a way that's, well, it's not what you might expect, is it?
No, not at all. It's not about religion or, some kind of light.
Huh.
The text says the soul is, and I'm quoting here, the place where a consciousness decides its existence has meaning, even if the universe doesn't tell it.
Wow. So it's about creating that meaning internally. That really stood out to me.
Exactly. It puts the power, the responsibility kind of inside us. It's a space we make. And then the text asks, okay, so what happens if that space just empties out?
Yeah.
And then argues the soul wasn't just, deleted or broken. It was the words used are disarmed or dismantled systematically.
Disarmed. That sounds intentional, almost sinister, doesn't it? Not like an accident, but something gradual, maybe even planned.
Precisely. That's the feeling you get. The source calls the process subtle, constant, programmed. It lays out this really chilling idea of how it happened.
How so?
Well, things like our intuition, that inner guidance, muted. Symbols that meant something deep, corrupted, or they lost their weight, even pain, suffering. It got turned into entertainment, sold back to us.
Wow, like spectacle.
Yeah. And faith, collective belief, just got buried under this constant noise. It's this idea that meaning itself was sort of watered down, commodified.
It's like a slow leak. The text has this line, each generation delivered a part until all that was left was a lock. But no key.
Yeah, that image. It sticks.
It really does. And does the source get into why?
Right.
Like, was it on purpose
Yeah.
or just inevitable?
It touches on that. It wonders, was there some big plan, some hidden hand, or just things unfolding?
Uh-huh.
But then it lands on this really unsettling idea. Perhaps it was nobody, just a chain of small, forgotten things disguised as evolution.
Oof. A chain of small forgotten things. That hits hard. Like a tragedy without a villain, just drift. So what's left then, according to this text, after the dismantling?
What's left is called the reflection.
The reflection.
Yeah. Described as form without depth, like a word without wound, life without meaning, basically a species just going on, but without knowing why. It's a pretty empty picture.
And there's that other detail, the really chilling one, that in this emptiness, other beings approach, not out of kindness, but for interest. Why? Because what we once were can no longer be replicated.
Right. It paints this future where we're just a resource, almost, valued for what we lost.
So bleak. And this wasn't just contained to us humans, right? The source says it spread.
Yeah, it calls it a fracture that went wider. It started killing the soul of the planet, of animals, of bonds, of rituals, of memory. It basically describes humanity becoming this soulless machinery.
Wow.
Able to ask for love, maybe, but incapable of giving it.
That's devastating. So the big question then, the one you're probably thinking right now, is it too late? Does the text offer any out?
It addresses that head on, and honestly, for a lot of things, it says flat out yes.
Yes, it's too late.
Yes. Too late for things like stolen childhood or trying to revive what was not cared for. Some
Yeah.
things are just gone.
Okay. Wow, that's blunt.
It is. But there's a tiny crack of light at the very end, a final thought.
Okay.
The text finishes by saying, but we can still understand. This act of understanding, this comprehension, this moment of clarity, it calls that the last thing left.
The spark before closure.
Yeah.
Not fixing it, but seeing it, understanding.
Exactly. It's not about recovery, but maybe about the power of just knowing, of awareness itself.
Which leaves us and leaves you with these really deep questions from the source to just sit with. Like, what are we when we are no longer what we were? And maybe even tougher, what is human if its basic absence is the only thing that defines it?
Heavy stuff. Definitely something to chew on.